the other guy came in and was like, "Oh, that's Brandon Lee." I was like, "What? D. Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee?" So it's like, "Yeah." And
Folks, this is the FormABLE Podcast with Jamie Sparling, and I have Mr. Steve Moseley with me from the UK. This guy has just been through the transformation of all transformations since I've got to know him, and he is super inspiring. Working with the
thanks.
school, you're welcome, the School of Combative Arts, right?
Yep. School of Combative Martial Arts, baby. School of
Yeah.
Combative Martial Arts. Yeah, that's that's just me. God, I didn't even talk this through properly. Sounds like me,
Oh,
doesn't it?
that's all
Uh,
right. That's
no,
okay.
no, no. It's just it's just I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I'm doing everything and doing a little bit of this and a bit of everything, but I'm just kind of like harnessing what I know best,
Yeah.
in terms of what I've been brought up with and stuff, and where I am now in life. It's just a question of pushing what I have and pushing it in what I hope is the right way, physically and morally, and
Steve, there's nobody better to do it than you. You have a good heart, brother, and you've been doing martial arts for a really long time. You've had some
yeah,
great experiences, and each and every one of us, that's all we can do is pass on the things that we find are valuable, and then, of course, the
yeah.
things that we feel most comfortable,
Oh,
with.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is it. It's like a case of it's what it's what I've been brought up with.
Hmm.
I go as far as to say it's in my DNA. It really is. It's just a reflection on who I am, what it represents to me personally. You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm at a stage now where I can go out and push is the wrong word, where I can express what I want to do to anyone that wants to come into that kind of realm, so to
You
speak.
offer
I
it.
feel, yeah, I hope so. I mean, I like to think that I've got at least a basic understanding of the basics that I'm qualified enough to push out there. If not, I've been going seriously wrong for the last 30
Oh, brother. Yeah,
seriously
yeah.
somewhere.
Well, I
No,
don't know about that. I mean, everybody's got a different opinion, right? But at the same time,
oh yeah,
everybody I know that's ever crossed paths with you has enjoyed their time, and I I'm sure you got a lot to offer, man. Could you tell us a little bit about your origin story, how you got started with martial arts?
yeah. I mean, I originally started. I think it was back in 78,
Mm-hmm.
1978. That's when I started Shotokan karate with the late Colin Sherrod, who
Okay.
was who was with me, and he went on to continue with the JKD thing with me as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was with Shotokan karate, and then I went into a system called the Lucky Crane Kung Fu system
The
with Master.
Lucky Crane Kung Fu system?
Yeah, man, it was with a guy called Master Tay. He was from Malaysia, and I'll never
Really?
forget his instructor. His instructor was Wong Sung Fa, and he used to teach I think it was the Malaysian military and everything like that. And I got into this when I was about 18 or 19, and that's when me and Colin first bumped into a certain Mr. Phil Norman.
Oh my
Hi, Phil.
goodness.
What's him? Yeah, probably isn't, but.
Ghostmaster Phil, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, he goes in this. um, that'd
Okay,
be
just a little backstory here. Steve and I had met during the Ghost Associate training, which is Phil Norman's system, which is
Mhm.
designed for sport fighting, where the rules allow you
Yeah,
to strike and stand. If you
that's right.
ever want to check out something or learn how to be elusive, learn how to move the body, highly,
Mm.
highly recommend Phil Norman and the Ghost system, and you
Oh,
make great
absolutely.
friends. Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, man, I've come back into it via Phil. via the Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
and the other martial arts in general. After a little, I think 2 decade layoff of the seminar circuit, could have been 3, I don't know. But yeah, I had a little bit of a timeout, and when I
You're
came
not the
back
only
into
one.
the market, no, hell no, man. Sometimes, a rest is as good as whatever they call it. And I came back into it, and the thing with Phil is there was no break in the joint,
Mm-hmm.
even though I hadn't trained him or haven't trained with him for it must have been well in 2 decades, 20 years, somewhere around there. I remember walking into his class, and there was like no break.
Yeah.
It was like no 20-year gap. If that makes sense.
That
And
makes total sense. When you came in with all those guys, I studied online with them, and I mean, you guys were thick as thieves right out the gate from what I saw of spending your
oh
time
man,
together and having a good time.
hell man, there's such a history there,
Hmm.
and I'll underline that word history. You can't deny that. That's irrefutable. That's just there, and you can't wash that away. I'm thankful and I'm blessed for all the people that I've had the chance to interact with, the instructors, the talent, the people that I've had a chance to hook up with via martial arts, and this whole matrix of martial arts, of what it entails and everything. It's a phenomenon. It really is. It's something else. And I'm so thankful for those people, that have that have been around, and been there to learn from, and been there to learn off,
Hmm.
and everything else. So, we went from the teenage years of the Lucky Crane Kung Fu
Yeah.
with when we bumped into Phil, and boy, hasn't that journey carried on?
Yes,
you
sir.
know, in one way, shape, or form, it just carried on. Whether we want it or not. And so yeah, after that, I had a little bit of a diversion when I was doing that to the Southern Academy of Wing Chun Kung Fu with a guy called Steve Cox, and his instructor was Robin Gardner.
Hmm.
And I believe I might say Robin Gardner was with William Chung at that point. That was his instructor, and I stayed in that system for around, I think, nearly 2 years or so, about a year, maybe a
Okay.
year, years, which I absolutely loved, because it was such a break from the normal back then. And then I went back into the Lucky Crane thing, the Kung Fu thing, and then me, Colin, and Phil, we really broke ranks from the traditionalist side of, because I mean our instructor Tay, he was one of these diehard traditionalists. You
Hmm.
liked it, and that was the only way of doing it, and there was no other way, etc., etc.
What?
And
I'm sorry. Can I ask a question? What
yeah,
year was this? Because that I mean, at that time, probably everybody was doing the traditionalist.
I was just thinking that we've got to be looking at round about maybe 80. I think we first went out to Madrid in 88 or 89. So it was late 80s, because I know that we all went and um, out to LA together. I think that was around about 9, could have been 89, could have been 90, but it wasn't
Okay.
far from that. So that was a massive jump. So yeah, as we said, that Master Tay, he was rigorously traditional.
Hmm.
One of these absolute tradition. You do not break rank, otherwise you will be ostracized. Which I was for a year and a bit when I went and done Wing Chun, and then I came
Hmm.
back in and wanted to know what I'd learned, etc., etc. And we all said no. We're not going anywhere. And anyway, then we all went off to LA.
Opportunity knocks and you answered, brother.
That lasted long. That lasted a long time. But man, it was it was so cool, because I think we must have been around Lucky Quaint 18, 19, 20. We were around there for about 3 years or so. But
Hmm.
we had um this pull, this like tractor beam pull by um Guru Dan, to just
Hmm.
had to go and do it, man. We'd seen the films, we'd watched Game of Death, we'd seen the nunchuck fight. We read all the everything. We'd I think at that point that was just our thing. We hadn't actually met up with Rick Young yet, but Rick Young came on board round about the same time,
All
and
right.
Rick Young at that time was an apprentice instructor under Dan Inosanto. He's a full instructor now
Mm-hmm.
and world champion, jiu-jitsu master. I guess it's the only word that you can put it, but probably one of the most down-to-earth human beings that I've ever met.
Yeah.
He's always had the time of day and everything like that, and he helped us so much at that particular point when we were going into Jeet Kune Do, because Rick was kind of one of Dan Inosanto's top European representatives,
Yeah.
and rightly so. The guy's frighteningly brilliant. On a martial arts level and on a humanist level, I mean, he's right up there. I mean, I love the guy so much for what he brought to us,
I had
and he gave us. Oh yeah, he gave us so much of his time. He really did. So yeah. So and I think that would have been around about the 90s, and then we progressed through that, going on board with Sifu Rick Fay. We brought him over from Minnesota. We were the first school to bring him over to, and he said American. Well, we were the first school to bring him over to Britain, to Bournemouth. And one of the highlights that Colin had, because it was Colin Sherrod that brought him over, and they were running late. Sifu Rick Fay was running late.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Fay was, they're not going to do anything, they're not going to sell without me. And he said it was the first seminar that he'd ever been to that we started without him. We were already warming up. And without him, and he just walked. He said, "Oh, okay." He started without me. That was kind of funny. That was one of the highlight memories. And
That's awesome.
Rick Fay, he plays. We hosted him. Colin hosted him for a good few times. I mean, good 4 years we had him over, and he's another massive part of my journey.
Man,
Going out
mine
to
too.
Minneapolis. Yeah, going out to Minneapolis, training with him. I haven't had the chance to catch up with him for I think 2 years now. Once was down to I was having surgery. I couldn't make it up with him then. Then I was out in the States, and I didn't get a chance to catch up with him then. So Sifu, Rick Fay, if you're watching, thank you for all your time. And I promise to catch up with you at some point. And thank you for everything that you've done. It's just been amazing. So that was my, and we've had all these like byproducts of that journey as well. People like Chester Heltsky, Damon Caro, Bert
Yeah.
Richardson, Eric Paulson, the Dog Brothers, Mark Denny, Eric Naus, and who else? Rick Young, obviously. And we just had so many diversions. They're all on the same road. Do you know what I mean?
I
But there
do.
were
I
so many.
do. They're like stops
There
in the
was so many.
journey, and then you get a little piece, right? And then,
Yeah, and
quite
we were
often,
just. Oh man, we were lucky at that point to be at the academy at that time because myself, Bill, and Colin, we were kind of like living out of our suitcases. Really, I mean, we were allowed at that time to crash at the academy.
that's
You
beautiful.
can't do that. So
Mm-hmm.
Paula said, no, it's okay, you can stay, you can. And now all the health and safety boards have got involved in this, but at that time, they just gave us free room and board, in effect. So that was just amazing to be around at that time,
I bet.
and oh yeah, to take my test at the academy with Arjun Chai, Chad feeding me, and yeah, it was just it was just something else. I mean, I know it's another lifetime ago, but looking back now, I mean,
Same
geez.
lifetime. Same
Oh
lifetime,
yeah,
brother. Same
I remember
lifetime.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Could you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your Muay Thai test with Ajahn Chai?
Oh, it's one of the hardest things I ever done. I think the knockout ratio was 8-2 that you got knocked out. A lot of people did. They actually failed things back then,
Mm-hmm.
And I know Phil Norman went out. He done his as well. He passed his. Um, but yeah, I had you had to do the seminar first.
Mhm.
You didn't get it. You didn't just walk in and do your test. That would be too easy. That'd be
Mhm.
way too. So you had to do the seminar with him first, and you had to do all those wonderful hundreds of kicks on the tie pads at the end that he loves to do with everybody.
Yeah.
And up to that, you had about half hour rest, and then you had to do the test. you know, so you're running on the back of a full seminar, and so I think my conditioning was at that age kind of as fit as what I was going to be. Kastahelski fed me on the focus pads, and then I had two people feeding me on the Thai pads, one from out of state, and then another one. The Chinese lad, he still trains with Guru Dan now. I cannot remember for his
Oh,
name, but I
that's
saw him when I
okay.
was yeah, it will. And I go, oh yeah, it was him. I messaged you him. I messaged his name. But I saw him out when I was out in the States in August, and I showed
Okay.
him a picture. Do you remember this guy? Oh God, yeah, that was. He's still out there. He's still training.
That's
And
awesome.
oh yeah, I think you had to get something like 40 kicks and 60 knees in.
Mhm.
That was compulsory. If you didn't get those in, you failed. And then you'd have to feed up hitting you or really hitting you on the second round. You had to do the Ramway, the dance, um, shadow box, pad work. Yeah, very hard test. Very hard test.
The
But
test was legendary back in those days. I mean,
oh God,
I
yeah.
don't know. I've seen one of the tests like in the last decade, and still looked incredibly hard. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
but the tests were legendary. I
yeah,
remember whenever Master Chai would come to Chicago, our group in Central Illinois, some guys would go up, but they always scared the hell out of me. Each and every time,
yeah,
right before, they'd be like, "Well, you gotta do
yeah,
this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this," and I was like, and they're like, "You want to go?" And I was like, I think I got a thing that day. If you
yeah,
could show
yeah,
me those
yeah.
elbows, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
You
I'll
know,
break into it. Yeah, especially when they
yeah.
say you could get knocked out. Yeah, I'll take a pass on that.
Well, at the
So,
time, I just wasn't ready for it. Later I had an opportunity to train with Master Chai, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. But, the
for sure.
stories of legend of what like you went through, and I heard the first generation go through. I
Mm,
I was cool on all that right at the beginning in my martial arts career.
yes, yeah. It was either you wanted it or you didn't. There was
Yeah.
no middle of the road. You can't sort of do a tie test.
No.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You either have to do it, and you've got to train hard for it. And you fortunately, Bert Richardson was over. I think about 3 months before I went out, and he'd done a mock-up test for
Mhm.
me, and it was. I got my legs battered. I got my legs kicked to smithereens, and it was a wake-up call. It was like, right, I've seriously got to take this seriously, and that's when I.
Yeah.
Yeah, good solid test. Where it was really good fun at that time as well. We were also, I think, one of the first Europeans, certainly the first English lot, to get in with the Dog Brothers, Mark Denny,
Yeah.
House, and they soon gave us a wake up call. They
Yeah.
they they those guys are something else as well. They were doing full contact stick fighting, just getting ready to push the Dog Brothers VHS video series, and we were there just as that was ready to go. And I've never fought such a hard 1 minute round and get beaten so badly off Mark.
I
But
bet,
probably
man.
because they would have these sessions at the end of the evening at the academy, and it was if you wanted to do it, you could do it. If not, you didn't have to. But that's when Eric and Mark would. That's when we would jump in with these guys. We were staying there anyway, so we just sort of jumped in and
Mhm.
um, got involved, and that was a reality check because it was full contact stick fighting, not points. It's hard. It was
It's
it,
full
it was full on.
contact skid stick fighting, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
just had an
you up.
opportunity this year to go to the gathering and see one of my friends, Michelle
That
Kuzma,
must have been
do the
sick.
fight, you
Wow.
know? And
Yeah.
once again, I'm it was awesome, and there was a lot to it. There was so much,
Yeah,
but I think maybe even they might have toned down somewhat. I
yeah,
mean, as we all do when we get older sometimes, because
yeah.
it hurts,
I mean,
right?
yeah, for sure. I remember watching Eric Nels go up against someone with a whip, with like a 8 steel whip, and this guy was, and he was like, and I was like, Eric, you're mad. What are you doing? And he was all right. I'm going to try and crash in, and that guy's a frightening phenomenon as well. Eric Nels,
Oh, I
brilliant.
bet.
And Mark Denny, he was another fantastic guy. He let us crash around his place as well. So, we bedded down with him, and he had a massive dog called Zapata with him at that time. It's a huge fucking thing. And so then we used to go across the park, and then that's when he'd help us out with the stick fighting. And yeah, that was really good fun. So I think you're looking. I think we were about 20, maybe 21, 22. So it's about like 35 years ago plus,
Yeah, we
So
heal. We heal faster around that time.
yeah, don't we just? So yeah, just put some ice on it, you'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that part, was amazing. And hooking up and training with Brendan, as well, from the MKG. He's sadly
Hmm.
again no longer with us. He was another person that I jumped back in with after so much time out, and he was extremely welcoming back. Got me back on. Then I hooked back up with Sifu Rick Fay and Bob Breen,
Hmm.
and all those massive JKD genuine legit representatives. And it was.
Legends.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I mean, I think Bob Reaney, was he 76 or something? I think it was his 76th birthday. And you look at the man and you just think, well, that's where I got to get to, you know, in terms of fitness and durability and everything like that. That's one of those men that you just look at and you think, God, how many hip replacements and everything else. And he's still moving like he's moving. It's just unbelievable. And that's probably
Yeah.
down to his whole origins, his whole lineage. I'd imagine. So probably same thing with Rick Young. It's what defines us.
Yeah.
It really is. It's absolutely what defines us. And as of lately, I've been drifting.
Me
I've
and
been
you both. Me and you
I've been
both,
kind of,
Steve. We're
yeah,
drifters.
I've
We're
been just
drifters,
kind of
brother.
hovering around. I've just been mooching from one thing to the next. But no, my latest interest is, and it's really piqued my interest as well because I haven't seen anything like it. Is the total combat fighting system
Okay.
TCF with
Hmm.
Gian Joseph, and the TCF system and the fighting system and the whole competitions when they were fighting out in the States and everything. I mean, I'd never heard of these people until Dwight D. Woods. Hi, Dwight. I don't know if he dropped a post and Mr. G. Anthony answered it with some motion. And I basically said, "Oh my God, you're actually doing something. You're not talking about it." And
Wow.
he
Yeah.
got back to me and he said, "Oh, nice to see that." And we just hit it off from there. I think that's about a year, about 2 years, or about a year and a half, 2 years ago now.
What do you
And yeah,
What do you like
yes, I
about
was
the TCF system? When
man.
somebody like you that has the origin story says
Mm,
it's like nothing else, right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
piques my interest. And I know that
yeah,
Seafood Dwight is doing it, and anything that
man,
he is
right.
interested in also sparks my curiosity.
You see, when you get somebody like Mr. Seafood Dwight D. Woods, and I was fortunate enough to be training with him in the same garage at Mr. G. Anthony's place for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I had, and he was filming it and everything. He sent me a few things over. And I didn't just see him doing the training, I was watching him sort of like at dinner with G. Anthony's wife, Ria, Ria Joseph, who is she's a force in herself, intellectually as well as physically. And I find going back to your question, what's unique about it? I would say the movement, their competition days when they were fighting competitively in the 70s and the 80s. They went out to America. They fought out there on the competition circuit, and it wasn't. I know that they have fought in the ring. I know that they've
Mm-hmm.
had fighters represented in the ring, but the competition sides were a lot different back then
Yeah.
than what they were now. There it was a lot more kind of full contact and things like that, and just the ways that they would go in and overwhelm people, and the fact that it's a complete system. The TCF system is complete. It's finished.
Mm-hmm.
You don't you all you do to learn TCF. You just have to learn TCF. It's not like you're going in and out of different variables,
Mm-hmm.
And whole discipline of the system I find very, very interesting. It's very basic, but at the same time it's very unique in itself. There's different animal systems that it comes off as well, so it's very traditional in that sense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very, 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 very beginnerish in it. I don't really know enough to
You know more than
speak.
me, brother. You know a lot more than me. And
you know,
right, and that's what it's all about. We're just here to talk and be educated on something, you
yeah,
know?
absolutely. And I mean, if it's a little bit of variety or something that you're looking at for, or something different, rather than and I appreciate that I'm being asked about it, and I'm giving a very probably wrong opinion about not wrong. I mean, limited
You're giving your
knowledge kind of.
opinion.
Yeah, I'm just getting and having been out there and watch him do what he does.
Mhm.
The best thing if you can do would be to get him on here
Okay.
as a guest. I mean, I would strongly recommend that you get him on here. And I was training with Dwight out there as well, and watching how Dwight moves now, and how G was coaching him, and how he was listening and doing what G was telling him to do, and everything, and what Ria was telling us, and how Ria
Mhm.
was. Actually, my first lesson out there was with Ria. She just wanted me to show basic things, basic strikes, and go through that with me. And yeah, it's just a very refreshing. It's just something new, you know.
Yeah.
It's just something new, and it's just something that's really piqued my interest. I hope that other people, other practitioners, will at least give it a passing glance.
Yeah,
If
I
nothing
will.
else, and just take a look at it, because I know he's very direct in his views sometimes, but that's just what some people are like. But when you look at their earlier fights, and
Mhm.
they fight footage up of them actually competing, and they've actually got press clips of when they went over to America, and they got the trophies and everything like that. So they're very legitimate. They're
Yeah.
not, and they've been around since I think the 60s as well. But they just don't. They've just never come out. They've just never publicly, come out across the board. They've just been in Trinidad.
That's
You know?
fascinating, actually. When you brought it up, I had no idea that they had the history with the competition and been around for
Mm,
so long. Uh,
mm,
I just know what I know through you and Seafood Dwight and the old
yeah.
silly internet, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a double-edged sword, this internet, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Mr. G. Anthony, he's had some very, very, very recognizable names who went out to Trinidad in the early days, and watched him, and saw what he'd done. And I'll let him give you those names, because
Yeah.
I don't think I'm in a position ready to say that. But
That's
they're big names.
okay. That's all right.
The
I'm going to
martial
reach
arts
out
one.
to him. Could you
Yeah,
send
please
me
do.
Could you send me like some YouTube clips and so that I could look at it and at least be able to have an intelligent conversation with him about what he is doing?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's got a very high fight IQ. He's very. he can back up everything that he's been doing.
I believe
And
it.
if you have doubts about that, look at their footage. Look at
Hmm.
their history. His wife Rhea, I think she lost one fight, and that was her last fight, I think. And well, when I say lost, it was on points or something like that. And everything up until then, she was just bowling them over, because they trained in the same system. They didn't go outside of it. They just trained in that same system for years and years and years, week in, week out, day in, day out. And that's why they were so good at what they were doing back then.
Hmm.
And like I say, they were running parallel with everything else, but they were like right on the side, on the corner, where nobody could see them. But they were
Yeah.
there. But they were there, man. And I mean, they were in, like I say, they're all based in Trinidad, and it was Spartan. Do you know what I mean? It was like Spartan environments. Like just a hall. you
This
know,
is
that was
Sparta.
it.
Yes, brother.
Absolutely right. There were no focus pads. There were no, there were no real training methods. I think they just used to hit each other and things like that, and just go through their system that way. But yeah, it'd probably be best if you
I'll reach
get
out to
get the
him for sure, for
yeah,
sure. Off of your recommendation, though, I trust your recommendation 100%. I would love
absolutely,
to.
mate.
I'd
Oh,
love
for
to.
sure.
I'd love to speak with him.
Yeah. Oh, he'd love to come on here, I think, as well, and just sort of like give his, just you can just see how he is,
Yeah,
for
for sure, for sure. So,
but being out with, yeah, go on.
in the School of Combative Arts, what arts are you mixing, right? Or what?
Yeah,
Your progression.
but progression is at the moment I'm with where I am. It's just a once a week gig, but
Yeah.
with what I'm doing is I'm giving everybody a basic striking foundation,
Okay.
because I have to work off strikes that are coming um, in a structured way, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
sort of like massive haymakers and stuff like that. So they have to get the basics down on that. They have to get their basics down on the kicks. We take a lot of I take a lot of the Thai boxing stuff out, like the
Mm-hmm.
teeth, the elbows, the basic hand strikes, the personal training sessions that I'm doing. They're very combatively based, like with the Kali, and with um, the empty hand versions and things like that, takedowns and stuff like that. But just very basic striking forms that are basic, the way that I've been going forward now.
Yeah,
Just
that's great. It sounds like you are gearing it towards people being able to defend themselves. And
yes,
and
yeah,
that's the rub. I mean, the minute it starts getting a little bit too much layers, that's hard to
yes.
do.
Oh God, absolutely, absolutely. And that's how I've honestly had to, express it, going forward, and not to get caught up too much with the idiosyncratic emotions and things like that. If people want to come and they want to learn that stuff, that's absolutely fine. But if somebody comes to me from day one saying, "Oh Christ, I've seriously I've got to learn to do something. I need to learn to defend myself against X, Y, or Z," what would be the basic things that I would need to know? What do you recommend? And then I would take everything down. So hopefully, if they left that, not hopefully, but when they left that lesson, they'd be a little bit more switched on and clued up as prior
Sure.
to them coming in through the door.
Right.
And
Well,
you can only do that through basics, man. You can't. You have to be very, direct and simplified for that. And at the same time, there has to be structure within that direct simplification. If you
yeah.
see what I mean,
Oh,
if that makes
without a
sense.
doubt. And that with the
Yeah.
structure comes experience, right? When you have experience, like someone like yourself, then you can follow some type of progression that you've went through. Sometimes you could
Yeah.
change it. Sometimes, we could tailor make it, individualize it, and personalize it, as Guru says. But we got to have some type of structure. That's so. What I get is that you're really aimed at making your students safer.
Absolutely, 100%. And this is also one of the reasons, whilst I remember, that I did go in for the ultra white collar boxing fights, and I went in for the MMA and for the cage fights, and that the ultra MMA. You know, granted, I may have jumped in at 49 for my first fight, and then had you know, okay, but hey, I got it in there, right? And then I got my second fight out. Then I had a break. I do like my breaks.
Oh, okay. Look, everybody I talk to, they got some type of break, especially if they're
yeah,
fighting, because you
oh,
got to
absolutely,
have a
mate.
moment to replenish and let things heal, right? I mean, for the
I,
most part, and starting at 49, Steve,
yeah, I mean
49 to get back into it. When I met
that was.
you, you were getting back into martial arts and you had
Mm,
dropped like a tremendous amount of weight and just had this giant physical transformation. Is
oh
that
yeah,
is that what inspired you and prompted you to go, "You know what? I'm throwing my hat in the ring with the MMA or the boxing."
yeah. That was that was definitely partly it. And I mean, and initially it was one of those things where you just say, look, we're all blossoming, right? We're all maturing one way or the other, some more so than others. And I was like, well, look, it's a point in my life now where I have to do this, because otherwise
It
it's
won't
going to
get
be
done.
like, it I have to keep on top of this now. I'm the fullback, I'm my own
Mhm.
fullback. And if we slip into the other direction of like couch potato, just lounging around, getting, doing the fast meals, drinking, sitting around, going blah 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 blah. What we're doing, man. We're not even getting anywhere at all. So I wanted to do it just for me, really,
Good for you.
just so I could get along with that. And yeah, the ultra white boxing thing came up, and I said, hell yeah, I'll give it. Yeah, I'll try it. I got to do that part, and there's always that, if only moments. And I do think, yeah, if only I'd sort of like maybe
Oh,
hung back and jumped in the ring then and got it then. And then, but at least I'm doing it now, So I'd done that on the 49, like I say, had a bit more time off, then jumped into it again when I was, I think, 53 for my second fight. And then I had my third fight, and then I thought, do you know what? I want to give this cage thing a go, right? I'm. I think I was 54. I thought, yeah, I want to go in the cage. I'm going there. So I trained up, and that really did train me up. Christ, man, that was brutal.
oh,
They were beast mode sessions. They were beast mode sessions. They really
yeah.
were. But you had to give it every. It's like the tie test. If you don't half go into a cage, and it was one of those things where, okay, it's a little bit more limited than as if I was going into an MMA cage
Mhm.
fight per se. Um, there are a little bit more, a few more restrictions, but not too many more restrictions, really. So I went in, and I've done that. And going back to what I was saying, building up to this, Jamie, back to your question, I think it's important for an instructor to say they've had some kind of experience,
Yeah.
be that what it may. As I said, I wish if only, I could have done this a while ago. I would have done. But the fact is, I'd done it then. I'd done it in my late 40s. I've done it in my 50s. Yeah, I've had the experience of training up, getting in the ring, doing some fights, getting in the cage, doing a fight. The only reason why I had to stop fighting was because the lens fell off my eye, and I had a detached retina. And
That'll do it.
uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The surgeon said to me, he goes, look, he goes, you've been lucky, I had a cataract, then I had a detached retina, and then the night before my second fight, the lens came off my eye. And I had to go to the opticians, and I had to cancel my fight on the day, and that was absolutely soul destroying. Because if that hadn't happened, I'd still be doing it. I'd still be giving it another go, without a doubt. But
I think it's more impressive that you did it later.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, but for me, that's one of those things, and everybody's got a different perspective when it comes to that. And I try to respect everybody's perspective. You don't necessarily have to be a great fighter to be a good teacher, right? There are those things. But I remember for myself, I had an opportunity to help a group of MMA folks,
right,
and I really like I don't know. It was hard to be there and to pull the stool out and go, "All right, go get 'em," knowing that I
Yeah.
hadn't done anything like that, even,
Mm,
right, competitive sports or anything. So, that's kinda what brought me to jujitsu and to try a few little jujitsu competitions.
yeah. Yeah.
Just so, like, it's just something. You get the nerves, you get
Hmm.
all
Oh yeah.
those things, you train harder because you know that somebody else is training and they're gonna try to choke you. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then you get a feel for a little bit more feel for the experience,
yeah.
and then you can sort of like understand more now of what's involved. And so,
Mhm.
um, when people, I mean, the other credentials and everything, but it's from what experience I've had, you know, in terms of ring prepping, sort of MMA prepping, okay, it may not be vast, it may not be like on a scale of, as you see in cage fights and everything else, like
Mhm.
etc. It's not like Regan or anything
But
like
that's
that.
not your
But
specialty, Steve. That's not your
no, no,
specialty.
no,
That's something
it isn't.
extra that you did to test your metal, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%, absolutely. It was like, my God, I've got to crack on and do it now, because if I don't do it now, there's going to be that regret. And if I do it now, and I do get I do, it does all go wrong. At least I can say, well, I gave it a go, you know.
Absolutely.
But fortunately, it all came out right. So it's good to finish on a sort of like on a high, like, yeah, that it was very, very limited, but at least I gave it a go, and it was a good result, and I'm happy with that. So
You should be.
I have to, yeah, I have to listen to what my optician says, surgeon said, when he said, look, you can't do anything. So that's a segue into really emphasizing more on the teaching and doing it, getting that
Investing in
going a
others
lot
because
more
you
now.
did it.
Oh yeah, mate. Yeah, it seems to be going well now. Had a good. It seems to be going okay. Classes, touch wood, are picking up now and everything, and it's going the way that you know I
H-
I
I
want it to go.
recently
So
saw a picture. You had it look like, I don't know, between 10 and 20 students at one of your classes recently, it looked like.
yeah, that was last week. Yeah, I had 15 down. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm chuffed with that. I know that might be a low ball in other people's books, but in my book, man, I was like, oh yes,
Oh,
result.
brother, come
So,
on now. Anybody who's taught martial arts has been in a room pretty much alone for a while with maybe one or
mm,
two people, and then if you get 15 people in, that's the
yeah.
beginning of something. That's more than the beginning. That's more than a drop in the bucket, brother.
Yeah, yeah, and well, there's hopefully more coming down tomorrow. I mean, summer's over. You can tell that. You
Yeah,
can tell.
that helps too, man. That helps
So,
too.
no, what can you do? Can't go down the beach. So let's go and do that.
Yeah, do you want to get
So,
punched in the face or do you want to go to the beach, right? I mean, for a lot
yeah,
of
what would you rather
logical
do?
human
Yeah,
beings, it's like, not hard.
absolutely, absolutely, mate, absolutely. So that's yeah, that's um, a great perspective now, and yeah, my daughter's doing fine and everything. She's working in with some of the juniors and some of the beginners. She's helping them out and stuff. So it's good to have her on board as well. Um, so yeah, man, yeah, it's all going good.
It
It's
is.
all
It's
going
coming
good.
together. What's it like to look at, I'm sorry to say, but well, to look at your baby girl and then be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
wow, she's over there
yeah,
going after it and
hey,
helping
man.
others and teaching." What's that like, man?
Yeah, it's good because she wears a t-shirt. She's got the same name on the back as I have, obviously, and yeah, she does teaching anyway. She does her job curriculum is teaching, so she's also got an idea of what to do with that.
That's
And
important.
yeah, mate, she's got the yeah, she's got the genetics for it and everything, and I never have to kick her tires. I never have to tell her to come down. I never have to sort of like say, "Are you turning up tonight?" I know she just turns up all the time, all the time, all the time, unless
That's a
life.
blessing.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
blessing
great that I
being a
don't.
dad. I can't bust my kid's chops and tell him to come. He's
Yeah,
not gonna come if he doesn't wanna come, and quite
yeah,
honestly, I don't
you,
know.
that's it, mate. That's absolutely it. And no, no, it's very. I'm very fortunate to have her down, and to be as consistent with the training as what she is and everything. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's good as
You're
well.
a
So
proud
yeah.
papa.
Oh yeah, mate, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. She does. Yeah, she does me proud and everything. And yeah, yeah. It's all good. It's definitely all good. So I'm
So we
happy with the way things.
It's great to
Yeah.
see
So
you, okay? To see you
oh
smile. I
mate.
wanted to ask, last time we spoke,
Mm.
you were telling me how you got to meet Brandon Lee. And if I could
Oh yeah.
dork out
God.
for a moment and ask you about that experience, that would
Mm.
just be
Yeah.
great.
God. Yeah. That was when me and Phil and I believe Colin as well was with us. We went over to the academy, and I can't remember. It wasn't where it is now. It was like about 2 blocks further down,
Mhm.
and came in, and Damon was there, and the other guy came in, and it's like, oh, that's Brandon Lee. I was like, what? The Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee. So it's like, yeah, and we went over to him and we said hi and we told him where we were from and everything.
Mhm.
And we were just struck by how regular the guy was then.
Mhm.
I think he I think he'd just done the Kung Fu movie,
Okay.
and he hadn't. He was again. It's one of those things. He was just on the cusp of, I think, Rapid Fire that hadn't come out yet, and he was just making moves towards there. And I remember us going out to a kickboxing gig with Chad and Damon, and there was Brandon there, and we were watching these guys. I think Benny the Jet Akitas. It
Okay.
was his. Yeah, it was his gym. And sitting there talking, I was like, I'm talking to Brandon Lee, just chatting
Mhm.
with Brandon. And we would train with him at the academy, and we do the drills with him. We'd get in and move around with him and everything like that. And honestly, Jamie, it was just like moving around with the with just a regular person there. In terms of
Mhm.
ego, you had to remind yourself, God, this is Bruce Lee's son.
Mhm.
And you just never would think so to communicate, and just the way he's warm to us all was just brilliant. I just wish I got the photo.
Yeah,
Damn,
well,
what?
we did not walk around with a camera then, dude,
Yeah,
right?
oh man,
Yeah.
imagine now. One of
Yeah.
them, one of them. One.
Oh my goodness. I remember Sifu Rick Fay saying in a seminar one time, and I thought it was so funny. He goes, I remember when we used to throw punches without having to take a picture of it. And you could have got me off the ground at that moment. Like, oh,
Yeah,
that was,
yeah,
yeah. And it's
that's so
hard.
true.
Because
Yeah.
nowadays, if
Uh,
you want students, you go on social media. You want to go on
mm.
social media because otherwise, that was one of the reasons maybe we ended up in the room alone so much back in the
Oh,
day.
absolutely. I mean, the whole thing then, and this is um, another thing. If you wanted to learn it, you had to travel
Hmm.
because there was no internet.
Yeah.
there was no there was no Facebook, there was no social media. You wanted to learn off Rick Young or somebody like that. You went to Edinburgh. If you wanted to learn off Danny Santo, you either went to a seminar that he was doing a lot more of back then,
Hmm.
and those were for like, they were like 9 till 5, maybe 6 o'clock finishes for 2 days. You know,
Hmm.
um, and if you wanted to go further and you wanted to learn with him, I mean, I can remember him saying to us when he was up in Edinburgh, when are you coming out to the States? When are you coming out to America? And we were like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah,
That's how you've done it. If you wanted to sort of like confirm everything, you pick the phone up and go,
for sure. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's just how it was. And I mean, the the internet is a blessing and a curse, isn't it?
It's a
It's
blessing and it's a curse. You said earlier that like it was like a double-edged sword. I think it's more like death by a
very,
thousand cuts, right? You could spend too much time on it, right?
yeah,
Because everybody who is seeming to do well, they might not be doing that well,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's really cool. Like, well, my Tai Chi instructor, he likes to say that he uses martial arts to develop relationships.
right,
And I've found that
yeah,
that's just something that kind of happens,
mm,
right? I mean, in the midst of when you went out there, you're able to speak with Brandon Lee, you're getting to do different things, right? But I imagine that you, Colin, and Sifu Phil were like
yeah.
just so tight and just going through that experience together, you know?
Well, sure. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, that's something that is that's just there. That's just in the history. You can't. I mean, yeah, I haven't seen Mr. Phil Norman for I can't remember when last time I saw him actually. A few years ago. I don't know, about a couple of years ago. But I know, based on history and based on everything so far, that if I went to his or when I do go to see him, boom, it'll just be like I saw him yesterday.
Yeah.
There'll be no breaking that joint. At least that's what I see.
Oh, I'm sure of it completely,
Probably
and
so. Go,
sometimes
"Steve,
just when we I think I said
yeah,
the other day
boy, I may have got that wrong.
well, now if he,
No, I love you,
if he
Phil.
watches the show and he probably doesn't, he'll know you're coming. So, I don't
Yeah,
know, right? I
I'm
was
sure that
talking.
I'm sure that there will be people that do know him that do watch the show that, that
Yeah.
may message. But Phil's Phil. Phil. I mean, in the most respectful way, Phil is just Phil.
Mhm.
He's next level, and I'm so grateful for him for bringing me back into the fold and for giving me his time. At that time, for giving me his time at that time, and I thank him. I love him dearly for it. I thank him for it. I really, honestly, truly do, and I'm sure at some point, we're gonna. I nearly said we'll meet again.
Of
But
course, man.
I know that we're going to. I know that we're going to. And so yeah, that's so good. So that's a very, very important, very, very crucial part of my history actually. But it's just nice to see where this thing takes you, where this
Yeah.
road takes you. It really is. So,
It's like a
um,
wall of smiles whenever I see you and your
hmm,
students and everybody's just smiling and all that stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what it's at.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I need to get the shots of like with me and Mr. G Anthony, and then with me, Dwight, and Ria when we were out there and everything like that, and my other friend who I hadn't seen for 35 years. I got him in the picture with them as well, and that was really weird. Just somebody
Yeah.
that I was at school with. Yeah, I was at school with Jeremy Fisher, and he was out there, and he said, "Do you want to meet up?" And I was thinking, well, I doubt if he will, but he said, "I'll pop over on Friday," and he did. He popped over to Marina Del Rey,
And
and he goes, I said, yeah, where can I get this address? And he goes, don't Uber it. He goes, come and stay with me. I'm like 10 minutes up the road from him. So, yeah, I jumped in and we were talking everything. And because I hadn't seen him for like 30 plus years. So we had a good old catch up and everything. And yeah, isn't it funny? People that you bump into, but yeah, brilliant.
yeah, that
Absolutely brilliant.
was that a friend from the UK?
Yeah, yeah. He was living over here. He went over to be a guitarist of all things, rock guitarist,
Mhm.
and then he went into self-employed business, and he's doing really well out there. And yeah, 35 years later, see, see, no breaking the joint.
That's how it goes, man.
Yeah, man, isn't it? Yeah, that was such a surreal experience. The whole trip was surreal. training with Chuhon Dan in Santo, and seeing the people at that academy, then seeing Jeremy and Venice, and then going straight up and training with G. Anthony, meeting his wife, training with those guys. You have to travel to get it.
Yeah.
I think even to this day that still rings true. If you want to learn this stuff, as good as what this screen is, and as as valuable as what it is, because you can get a lot out of this. Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't. Circumstances dictate that you have to do Zoom calls, you have to go online. But mate, if you can, at the end of the day, get out there to do it. Do it. I mean, I went basically off the back of an impulse for this trip in August. I just said I'm just going to do it, and I didn't have that much money to take out there with me,
Hmm.
and no, I've got to do it. I have to get out there, and that was the overriding thought.
I
And
could tell you the
yeah,
same
yeah,
story, Steve. That's me and my wife were out there in September, and it was totally exactly like that. Like, I need to go and I need to go now. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and we're gonna look at tickets and then we're just going, you know.
We're just going to do it. You have to. You're a long time looking at the lid. And so you have to get these times in now whilst you can. You got to train. You got to look after yourself. You got to stay on the game. You just got to keep pushing, keep pushing. Especially now, man. This time of your life. This is where it counts. you know,
Absolutely,
this
dude.
is where it counts. I mean, Mr. G. Anthony Joseph. I think he's either 62 or 63. I know he's not going to mind me saying that because he puts that on his post all the time.
Hmm.
And you look at, man, seriously, right? Look at the shape he's in. Look at what he does. Look at how he moves. Look at his knowledge. Look at his insight. Um, I'll say that as a generalization, pretty much to anybody really. Go and check him out. Seriously, he's worth it. He's worth a look. Definitely. So is TCF. It's just worth checking out. We've checked so much other stuff out. Go and have a look at that.
Why
It's
not?
why not? Why
Right?
not? If you're not familiar with it, go and have a little look. See, you can do one or two things. You're going to like it or not. But that's what research or anything. That's what absorb. That's the whole GKD thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Searching your own experience, absorbing what is useful, not being bound down or tied down to getting out to looking at other things. Not being bound by these traditional things. By breaking out and looking at this stuff. So in a way, I'm kind of doing JKD.
I think that's not in a way you're totally doing, right? I mean, and part of that is, you know, to the constraints of our own personality, our own opinions, and our own ego too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
because you could stay in any system forever and probably not get it all, right? I mean, like, and
man. Yeah.
completely do it. But
Mm,
when you're able to go, or when we're able to go and train with somebody like Phil, Guru Phil, Sifu Phil,
yeah.
then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's like, aha. And
Absolutely.
end of the day, we get to choose what we're going to practice and work with our students anyway. So if there's
Yeah.
something in there
Yeah.
that I either don't feel I can do, or I'm not very good at it, or I don't think it's good for my students, then I will,
Yeah.
I get to leave
Yeah.
it there, but still have that
Yeah.
experience.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm so glad that I've had everything that I've had, and it continue to get and to continue to look at and everything. But when it comes down to the people that I'm teaching and everything like that, I'm just gonna look at the room and look at what they want and look at the time frame that I've got, what they're doing and everything, and then just hit it hard within that frame, within that slot, and that just seems, and I just do what I honestly believe is appropriate for that time for those people,
And
especially the
that's
way.
the rub.
Yeah,
That's the rub,
absolutely.
sir. I mean, anytime someone goes in and, I mean, for myself, I have an idea of I want to teach, or, God forbid, I'm going to go do a workshop somewhere, right?
mm.
Have you ever went to a class that you were gonna teach and had too much material? And you're like, "Well, we're not gonna get through all of it."
Yeah, for
Sometimes I've
sure.
seen people force all the material, right?
Mm,
But if you wanna see the people grow and get something out of it, then
yeah,
maybe you just, it's good to be over prepared and watch the
mm,
room and see how they
mm,
react. Would you agree?
yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, 100%. You get a pretty good feel off the atmospherics and stuff like that and everything. And when people say, Steve, there was a real good buzz in there tonight. There was a real good vibe. Everyone was just on the par, and you got the tunes banging out and everything like that and stuff. And yeah, it doesn't just become a ritualistic basic. It's jazzed up, man. We really jazz it up. We really do jazz it up, and that seems to be going down well. People are dripping, people are knackered, and when it comes to the photo, they're all smiles. It's like,
Mhm.
behind their smile, they're dead. They're exhausted. But that's absolutely 100%. So that I hope has given you from reference point A. Yeah, it was 78 because I think I could have been a little bit. I could have been 76. That's when I originally started, and then this turbos, this slingshots right up to today, where I had my last PT with Mr. G. Anthony in the TCF on Saturday. But that was one of those phone things, But at least
Mhm.
I've had the experience and training directly with him, and I'll be doing that again next year. Um, so yeah, ongoing, man. It's we never finish, do we? We never
No.
finish.
No, I think
There's no finish
that's
line here. There's
so
no finish
important
line for it.
though, right? I
Mm,
mean, because like
mm.
I know, remember the old adage? So the idea was like, oh well, you better watch out because Bobby's a black belt, and maybe he is.
Yeah,
But if he's a black belt that hasn't done anything in a decade, and he's getting,
yeah.
we're
You
getting
take your
winded going
chances.
up the stairs. I don't know,
Yeah,
right? That's a thing, right?
chances. Yeah, yeah. You take your chances. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll give it a go.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
just to and
Yeah.
always to respect the achievement and
Mm,
anybody who has a black belt or has instructor qualification has been through something, right?
yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
continuous improvement all the time.
You have to. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing. You have to consistently branch out of your comfort zone. You have to break out of that familiarity. And
Mhm.
it keeps you. It keeps you honest. Keeps you honest. It keeps you honest with yourself and everything like that.
How about
And
does
yeah,
it
go on.
keep it fresh?
Well, yeah. I think it does. If you're constantly breaking out, if you're constantly evolving, if you're constantly learning something new,
Mhm.
it's like, oh God, yeah, wow, I forgot about this feeling. It's like, yeah, this is really excellent. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. And you've got different things to learn now. You've got different, a bit like grappling about like jujitsu. That no way is that my strong point at all. But the times that I was doing it was very interesting to find out what it's like being on the mat, being on the ground, being on the guard, being on the mount, going to go cross press position, side press, side control. And I probably will get back into that at some point, maybe put the gi back on. And that was another thing. That because I hadn't really ventured into that area.
Mhm.
It was good to venture into that, get that feeling. It was really enjoyable. Um, just aren't enough hours in the day with working and everything,
No.
teaching, training, everything else I want to do. There's only so much that you can cram in.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, it's making it. making it work for me, you know. So yeah, there's goals for 2020, 2026 that are coming in now. Um, and it's all good, you know, jumping on things like this, you know, jumping on podcasts like this with you and everything. It's good because it's sort of like, well, it's a privilege, pleasure for me, mate. You know, some of the people that I know, it's probably going to send to sleep. You know,
That's
you're
all right.
welcome.
Hey, do you, yeah. I mean, I know how that goes,
You know,
right?
or
You know
or
what
they're
I
probably
mean?
going to
And
go,
they're,
oh, yeah, they're probably going to go,
hey,
oh, you talk again, yes.
I
You
don't
know,
know.
yeah,
I don't know.
come on, cut me some slack, guys. Cut me some slack, yeah. Come on, you
Well, I
know.
think everybody's going to cut you some slack. One of the things I
Yeah,
wanted to ask
well,
that,
you know, I'm not pushing for it, McTully.
well,
You know McTully?
Mick
You
might
know
break your
McTully, right?
chops, okay?
Oh,
You know,
McTully.
if he doesn't, then I don't know that he really likes you.
Yeah, here's a fun fact. McTully's podcast was the very first podcast that I ever went on.
Really?
Really, straight up. So, and then I went on the Dwight D. Wood show, and I went on that twice. And then there was one with the TCF that I went on with him. And now I've just done yours and everything. So, these are great. But Mick Tully got the ball rolling.
Do
He said
what?
to me, he goes, he got the ball rolling on this. He goes, he originated this. He goes, oh, do you want to come on my podcast? I said, are you talking to the right person? He said, you sure you got the names mixed up? He goes, no, I want you in. So, yeah, we sat down. We sat down chatting for a good, hour and a half in his car and stuff and everything. So, no, that's funny. I like Rick. He's something else, isn't he?
He really
But
is. Sometimes he
yeah,
sends me something on Instagram and
he's a
it's
cheeky little
freaking
boy.
hilarious. You just don't know,
Yeah,
but that guy is his his knowledge and his
yeah,
functionality is phenomenal.
yeah,
But he
yeah,
brings his
yeah.
personality into everything that he
That
does, you know,
yeah.
and I think that's important sometimes, you
Oh,
know.
absolutely. I think that's a major. That's what made him so successful on the Tully podcast that he was doing.
Hmm.
Um, Personally, I think he should pick them back up again because I don't know why he stopped doing them. You know, I think he's just probably interviewed everyone that he can interview. But I know that it was great to go on with Dwight and everything on the JKD Rebel podcast. I thought, oh God, wow. You know, again, are you sure you got the right person? But he was great. That was a great. I love Dwight. Dwight's brilliant. Dwight's
He
absolutely
thinks very
brilliant.
highly of you. I just
Yeah.
had him on the show yesterday.
I mean,
I'm sure he was lying,
yeah,
Steve. I'm sure he was
I was
lying.
going to say,
Okay.
you got the right person.
No,
No,
no, no.
no, no.
I think
I mean, when I
everybody
went,
everybody seems
yeah,
to
yeah,
like you, brother. You know what I mean? And
okay.
you have a good energy, right?
Oh man,
One of the
a lot of people.
things, well, it's okay. I don't really know you that well. I've been in a room with you a couple times, but I really enjoyed it. And it kind of brings me back to something I wanted to ask, you know, for a
Mm,
lot of us that are instructors, you
mm.
know, we know what we want to teach and we have an idea, right?
Yeah,
But quite often, I feel like what we talked about earlier is having a bunch of things to offer, but really being able to listen to the room too.
mm,
The room being the most important. The 15 students you have are the most important for that hour. You might have
yeah,
an idea of what you want to do, right?
mm,
But it's really important that we listen and feel and get to know our students and
yeah,
sometimes do more watching and observing because the listening is different, right? I mean, I've told my instructors things that I wanted to do that I didn't do, right? You know
yeah.
what I mean? But when they watch me, I know
That
they can see what's going on. They can see if I've trained.
mate, I'll tell you something, right? You just that's just reminded me something of what Mr. Giantoni said. He said, "Your students, they won't be listening to you; they're going to be watching you
Hmm.
in a way." And it was it was like they'll be watching on how you do it. They won't necessarily be listening to what you're saying, but they'll be watching how you do it. And that's also a very key point, I think, as to why instructors in particular, they need to stay sharp. They gotta keep that blade sharp, or as
Hmm.
sharp as what they can, as far as what they honestly can, to their own capabilities and everything, and to
Absolutely.
their own prescriptions. They have to keep that sharp, because the last thing you want is just to be, you know, saying something that you're not. you know, I think that's something that also I remember Seafood Rick Young saying, is that he said Kali can be interpreted and translated as body motion.
Yes, sir.
Not mouse
Kamut
motion, but your
Kamutliuk.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how you move your body. And so I think, that is your first and foremost go-to point. Um, if you can, when I explain what I do, the behind the things, the behind the techniques to the people there, I try to keep it as short and as simple and as direct as what I can. I
Hmm.
don't want to. I don't want to overstart. I don't want to start babbling on if I can avoid it. I just want to keep it nice and simple and direct. As what I can. Before I
Me
hit the play
too.
button.
Me too. That's
Yeah.
what I shoot for, but I like to talk. That's why I was like, let me start a podcast and I could
Yeah.
talk to my friends and then hopefully I
Oh
could do
man, yeah,
less of that when I teach.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love a chin whack. I really do. I love a good old chat. And this is yeah, this boils down to that side of it. So yeah, that's a very good point about what you were just saying. With regarding instructors and everything like that, you gotta be able to look like not like you have to represent what you're doing. You have to represent what you're doing, and know that you're doing it very capably, because
I
if,
agree.
if if you're not, yeah, if you're not, I mean, seriously, you don't want to accidentally get, you know, caught on the hop for it, So,
For sure.
um,
And
so
just be honest about the assessment of the skills, right?
absolutely,
Like I might
that's what
not
I'm trying to
be
say.
in this area where I want to be.
Mm,
Okay. But in
mm.
this area, I might be doing okay.
Yeah, that's how I honestly try to appraise and assess myself. I know that I'm not going to be that, and I know that I'm not that, but I know that I'm pretty good at that, or at least
Yeah.
if I'm not by now. Then I'm, like I said, I've been doing something seriously wrong, and nobody's told me, but that hasn't happened, and that hasn't happened. So, yeah, I'm comfortable in my own skin.
That's really important, brother. That's really
What I mean,
important.
I can look in the mirror. Okay, I mean, it's yeah, I'm very, very, very happy with that. And I know that there's people that are a lot more high level than I am. Um, and that's a given. That's just it's just how it is.
Hmm.
And I recognise that. I totally get that. I totally understand it. But I think as long as you're honest with yourself and where you are and what you come from to be where you are, I think as long as you can carry that off, legitimately, then you're all good. You're all good. Anyone that wants to message me, feel free. But yeah, it's brilliant, man. It really is. And this podcast like this is almost like a cleansing experience,
Yeah, brother.
man, and just let it out. Just
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know,
out and let it go.
for real. And sometimes I think just having a conversation for me with another instructor that I respect and we're
Mm,
talking about things, you know what I mean? Quite
yeah.
often, the first and second generation of students in any art, you don't, you're not around your instructor all the time. So you
Yeah.
have to
Oh,
go
no, no.
out and you have to develop some things on your own, and then you have to find some people you can train with, and people you want to help. Which that's
Mm.
that's that's the essence of being able to teach people is, can I help them?
Yes, yes, yeah. You have to look as to why you're doing this.
Hmm.
You've got to look as to why you're instructing. You have to look as mate, if I was looking to make, a productive living off this, I'd probably I'd probably be howling at the moon by now.
Are
Because
you
that's
saying
you
that
know
teaching martial arts is
that's
not the
not
path
happening.
to
It's not 1
great
minute.
wealth, Steve?
Sure. Can someone give me the code? Someone give me the code. Mate. Yeah. Oh God. I'm poor but happy.
Homie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
poor but happy,
Yeah.
and I've been poorer, and I've never really been much happier. So it's cool.
Yeah.
We'll take it,
Exactly.
brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No. What will be, and everything else. But
Hmm.
no. Like I said, this is. Yeah, this is great. It's fantastic to do this again. I
Appreciate
think it
you.
probably. No, I
Appreciate you.
appreciate you, man. I really do. Um, so if there's anything that you want to shout about or anything like that, please feel free to let me know. I hope this audio came out okay. Um,
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
I'll
Yes,
do
it
it another
did. I'm
5
gonna check it here in a few before I send it to my
Yeah,
guy. All right, and that's it. He didn't
absolutely.
break my pointer finger, by the way. He should have,
Oh
because
no,
I
how
could
was
get better with the
oh,
whatever. That's a little
how was
jujitsu.
that?
Oh, it's just a little jujitsu thing, right? Sometimes your
Oh,
finger gets
okay.
caught in the
Yeah.
gi, and
Oh no, yeah,
it didn't
yeah.
hurt that much, but it was wiggling a lot, and then so we went in to go see today, and there's some, like, ligament damage or whatever, so,
But
que
you're
sera,
okay.
sera, it happens. What are you gonna do?
That's what I mean. I found it in jiu-jitsu, you had to tap often and you had to tap early, especially at my age. It's like I don't give a. I'm not going into all this. You're not tapping me out, man. Because that's not where I'm at anymore. It's sort of like I just go
Oh,
for the
I
learning experience.
honestly, brother, I have had that attitude when I was younger. And
Mm.
I got some injuries and some surgeries
Yeah,
out of that Barney badass
was it worth it?
mentality. And
Yeah,
now, like, dude, I'm a tap quick. I mean, sometimes the younger people, some of the people I roll with, they will be like, I don't know, they're like, oh, really? Are you gonna tap from that? Like, yeah, I am. Why?
yeah,
Because
man. I
I
got to
want
go
to
to
do
work
this
tomorrow.
again in another 3 minutes, right? And
Yeah.
so that's whatever's going on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Plus you've got to work tomorrow, plus you've got to train, plus you've got to do your own lifestyle. You get your shoulder popped, and then that's it, mate. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not beneficial. It's just not going anywhere to where I need it to go. But like I say, tap early, tap off, and don't worry
Yeah.
about it. That's
And
you know.
accidents can happen anyway. I mean, like, even without having the part where there's a submission applied. I remember
Mm,
my buddy in high school, he became a chiropractor, but he was the first person to dislocate my shoulder, and he didn't know what the hell he was doing. We just went to the ground. It came out. I
yeah.
called my first teacher, Steve Fristo, and he walked him through how to put it back in. And
Oh my god.
yeah, and then then the same guy, uh, phenomenal fighter, super tough. And as soon as my shoulder went right back in, he looked at me and his eyes went, and he passed out right then and there. And that's when he
Oh
decided
man.
he would become a chiropractor.
Oh, mate, there you go.
It's
Right, it was on
crazy.
the wall right there.
Yeah, you never
Absolutely,
know,
mate.
man. You never
No,
know.
no, no, you never do. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? But yeah, yeah, it comes with the turf, doesn't it? It's
Yeah, it
part of the
does. It does, right?
comes
And
with the turf.
Yeah, and there's the tough guy part where sometimes we need to drop our ego, and I mean, I still
Yeah.
have those moments where I'm like, "Oh no, I'm feeling really good," right?
Mm.
Uh,
Yes.
well, I have not fought in the MMA cage, so I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about that. I haven't fought in a ring either, but
Mm.
I have struggled with the ego who didn't want to tap, and I had to pay the price for
Oh,
that. And now it's like,
yeah. Yeah.
the other day.
Yes. Yeah. You go. Yeah. That's a little reminder.
Oh, brother, the other day I tapped for one of my students. I just yelled tap because I
Yeah.
saw the shoulder was coming out and the person who
Oh,
was
yeah. Yeah.
who was applying the submission really was he was great. He wasn't putting a lot of pressure, but I already knew because that's my student that she doesn't understand, in my opinion, how quick it's gonna go from,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Yes.
he's got
Yeah.
my arm," to, "Oh, we're
Ow.
going to the emergency room." You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
can happen really
Yeah.
quick, you know?
Absolutely, and especially as we blossom and mature, mate, they go. It takes a lot longer to heal,
Brother,
and
that's the
it takes
truth.
longer to heal. It doesn't take. Sometimes it doesn't take quite as much to put on either, because your joints are getting a bit creaky. So
Mhm.
but then you see other people that just next level, But we stay in our lane,
We
don't we?
stay in our lane, right? But we
In our lane,
also
we do our.
stay in our lane, but we also hop on the freeway to go be around those
Oh
people.
God, yeah, hell yeah, yeah. You have to now and again. You have to.
Oh,
You got
yeah,
to take.
I get that, but I mean, a lot of people don't.
No,
That's okay.
no.
I've had people that have been like, "Well, you know how many good instructors we have in this Wisconsin area," and I'd be like, "Dude, there are great instructors here, and God bless them. But I'm still getting on a
Yeah,
plane, and I'm going to go out to the Inosanto Academy. If you don't want to go, that's
yeah,
fine, right? But at the
yeah.
same
Don't
time, like,
don't throw shade down on me.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Absolutely. It's that individual thing again that we were just talking about. Being your own thing, absorbing your own experience. That's what the
Hmm.
whole credo about. That's one thing that's probably, um, I would say, stuck or really, stuck with me on the Jeet Kune Do thing.
Mm.
Is that whole, um, mantra of researching your own experience. Absorbing what is useful for you. Like they said, what's useful for you isn't going to be somebody else's cup of tea.
Hmm.
What you like another person won't like, and that's just has to be taken as a given. And I think um, a lot of that is lost sometimes. You know,
Of
politically
course it
sometimes.
of course it's lost too. And I mean, I'm sure that anyway, do you ever find that there were techniques or things that you learned earlier in your career that you were like, nah, I don't necessarily need that. And then it comes back later where you're like, oh, that is why he told me to do that at this time. And then you have to go
Yeah.
backwards and find that piece.
Yes. Yeah. One of these things, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
You constantly. That's what I mean about the TCF. It's so traditionally based that you do literally have to start again. You do literally have direct straight punching, but in such a way that I don't know. It's basic stripped down to its most basicest sense, and I can kind of go all the way back to my Shotokan karate days, and kind of like go. That's where I would draw a comparison from. It wouldn't be from any JKD kind of um, perspective, or not even from boxing perspective.
Hmm.
Or the experience. Those fights. It wouldn't even be from that. If I had to kind of like run a parallel with it, it would be like going back to the discipline of what the Shotokan karate was back in um, late 70s, early 80s was
Mm.
the structure and the discipline and everything else. And then you look at that today and you go, oh God, yeah, that's exactly what kind of you can draw comparisons, maybe not
Mhm.
some ways, but in other ways you can draw comparisons and go, God, yeah, that makes um, so much sense. It's almost like going back,
It
to
is, right?
the
It's
original can route,
it's part of
but
the
without
research of our own experience sometimes, right?
absolutely. I mean, Gianni will say he's just had one instructor. That's it. That's all he's had. That's all he's needed was one instructor. That was enough. And the
Yeah.
TCF system, learning that entire system and staying with that same instructor, I think he said for like 35, 40 years. And he
Yeah.
goes, I have never felt a need or a diverse, incoming, you know, um, other person or anything like that. And that's kind of rare these days as well.
That's
It's
very
just
rare.
I've got one instructor. I've always had one instructor, and I don't need any. I don't need any other influences coming. And he's looked. Oh, man, he's frighteningly brilliantly sharp. And he's looked. He's seen what's out there. His wife Ria. They've travelled.
Yeah, for
They've
sure.
gone all over. This isn't just something that I'm saying on the back of like for the sake of saying it, or anything like that. This guy's lived it. He's absolutely
Hmm.
lived it. He's a fascinating. To be on here, you'd be fascinated by him. Um, so, yeah, I can't remember how we got onto that one, but
That's all right. I would just
but
kind
yeah,
of
no, yeah,
bringing things
but no,
back
no,
around
that
with
was
some,
yeah, that's what you were saying about how it relates
yeah, the
back to
research.
things that you would not think coming forward when you would go, damn, yeah, that's it. So yeah, it's surprising how these little bits just boom, drop into place that you're not even aware were out of place. But
Yeah, if we're
God,
in tune to it though, like, sometimes it's like research your own experience. Well,
yes,
then I have like maybe I had a piss poor attitude when somebody showed me that, or I was really looking at this other thing and that's where it's at, and then
yeah,
later it will come back around. I remember Gurenisano talking about uh one of his teachers saying that he's going to learn, I'm going to paraphrase, like 12 techniques, and it's going to
yeah,
be four of them that are going to work really good for you. There's going to be two or three that you're going to pull off every once in a while, and the
yeah,
rest of them are just part of the art and they're for your students. I
mm,
thought that was fascinating. And I probably
yeah.
screwed up that entire piece there, but I got the essence that I know, I
Absolutely,
think.
mate. Yeah, I think so too. I think we just keep on doing what we're doing, and that's all we can do, man. Just be honest with yourself and just stay on the path that you're on.
Path of growth,
Uh,
brother. Path of growth, just a little bit better
personal
than the
growth.
other day, hopefully. Hopefully. And
Yeah,
then a little backwards, and then a little forwards, right?
it's part of the parcel. Absolutely, bro.
Yeah, brother.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
So
Um,
at this point, usually I ask if you had anybody that you would recommend for the podcast. However, we have talked about Mr.
G.
Joe
Anthony.
G. Anthony, and
Yeah.
I know that you were just sweet enough. I appreciated that you made an introduction for us at one
Mm.
point on Facebook.
Yes.
And I am gonna reach out to him, and
Please do.
I'm interested in hearing about this system. And you
Yeah.
also, sir, you had said that you did a session with him online. Are those class sessions? Does he offer classes, online sessions, or it was at a private session?
It was like a one-on-one.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like PT. So yeah, it was just
that's great.
uh, yeah, we link up, we hook up. He watches me, yeah, and goes through some stuff, watches me, etc. Pulls me up, tells me what I need to do, stuff like that. Tells me what I need to do, corrects me, pulls me back up, tells me what I need to do. Yeah. I mean, his lessons in the garage were just something else. They really were just amazing. It's meant just to be a student again. To be a student and to learn something
Mm,
is.
That's
it's
the
just a great experience. You know,
that's
you've
the
got to be.
rub.
Yeah, you have to be forever the student. You know, that's how I look at it. You know, things
Me
like that. I
too.
mean, I'd be doing things in front of him. He's like, nah, I'm not convinced, Steve. You're not convincing me. you know, and
Yeah,
he just pulling me up on things, on the techniques that I had to learn, and yeah, yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. So
brother, we can tell you love it. Thank you so
yeah.
much for coming on the show and
You've ever so
sharing.
No, thank you for sharing. Thank you for having me, giving me this opportunity just to um, say these things and everything. You know,
More
people like it.
it's my pleasure,
It's
brother.
great. Yeah, it's almost just like having a chat with you, really.
It is.
It's just a chat, you know. Keep
That's
on
all it
forgetting
is.
it. But yeah, I will. Yeah, I strongly recommend that you get in touch with him, and I'll let him know that you want to reach out and get in touch about a podcast with him. He'd love it.
I'm
He'd
gonna
absolutely love
definitely
it.
do that very, very soon. And if it doesn't go well, I'll blame it on you. All right.
Absolutely, what I'm here for. It's what I'm here for. When I'm at my day job, people go, "Oh, it's Steven done it wrong. Steven done it wrong."
Well, you have broad shoulders, brother. I bet you
Yeah,
could
they're not
carry a
talking
lot.
about me. Yeah, if they're not talking about me for one thing, it's for another, but they're still talking about me. What can
That's how it
I do?
goes sometimes, brother. And from the
Completely,
first
man.
minute that I ever met you, I was like, I want to get to know that guy better. He's got a really cool energy. And thank you for coming on the show.
No, thank you ever so much for having me, mate. And leave that little part in about having a cool energy.
Oh, I'm not gonna bleep anything out. No, 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 100%. You do have a great, really cool energy, and I think anybody that met you would think that, and anybody that probably thought otherwise, I'm not really sure I'd want to hang out with them anyway. So it's all good.
Yeah, I'd be interested. Anyway, my friend, I love you loads, and thanks ever so much for having me back. And let's do another one at some point. I really would love that.
Thank you for saying that because we would definitely do another one. This is Jamie Sparling from Affinity Martial Arts and the FormABLE Podcast, where we talk about formable moments in martial arts and martial arts training. A formable moment for me is when I met this gentleman right here during the Ghost Elusive Combat associate instructor camp, and he is a gem of a human, and we're going to have him back. Leave some questions in the comment section
Yeah,
here for our buddy Steve, and maybe he'll come back next time and we'll hear the story of how he got to spar a little bit with Brandon Lee.
that'd be
Let
well
us
cool, man.
know. Let us know if that's what you'd
Absolutely.
like to hear. Anyway, this is Jamie Sparling and Steve Moseley, Affinity Martial Arts, and the School of Combative Martial Arts in the UK. Thank you for watching and be formable.